Hello, thank you so much for watching this recording. Today we're going to go through and see how you can chain actions leveraging MuleSoft AI Chain. We're going to do this in the context of our product agent demo. So I'm just going to do this through the MuleSoft AI chatbot extension that we've produced. And I'm going to start off by asking a very basic question. And then we're going to get into why this question, while it seems basic, is actually really complicated from a traditional integration approach that would require a lot of different steps. So we're going to say, what types of boots do we sell? Actually, let's do what types of winter boots do we sell? Even be more precise. Okay, let's see what results we get back. So taking a second, and then once it gives me the results, we're going to go through and see what's actually happening behind the scenes. So here are the winter boots that we sell. We sell Shalista mid boots. We sell Shalista Poem winter boots, Newberry Peruna winter boots, and Shalista Tall winter boots. Perfect. But what had to happen in order to answer this question? Well, behind the scenes, we have a couple of different product-related APIs that are powering this experience. First and foremost, we have a categories API that retrieves a full list of our categories, including footwear as one. Then we have another API that allows us to retrieve a list of product information, but requires a query parameter category equals footwear or one of those other categories in order to retrieve the result. In fact, if I remove the category at all, just to show you some of the complexities here, I'm going to get a bad request because that is a required field. Okay, so in order to submit this request, I have to know footwear is one of those categories. And I'll let you in on a little secret. We update our categories fairly frequently, so I don't want to be hard coding those anywhere. That's why we have that category API. So how is our agent able to process these? Well, it turns out what it actually is doing behind the scenes, and we'll see this in a second, is it says, I need to gather my products. Well, in order to gather my products, I need to be able to answer this question about the category. Well, fortunately, I have another tool, which is this categories API, to retrieve my categories. So it first runs this categories API, retrieves this list, and then intelligently decides to run a filter to retrieve footwear based off of the fact that my question was talking about boots. Once it's taken footwear, it passes that in to my products API to retrieve a list of all of our boots. And then it filters these boots, determining which ones are our winter boots. Okay, so how is that actually happening behind the scenes? Well, if I go into Studio, what I've built out is my agent tooling flows, where first we identify our tools. And it does that through a use of an intelligent set of steps, where first it takes the history plus the prompt that's being asked and says, what are the minimum number of tools I need to answer this question? And identify any missing query parameters in order to make those tools work. It then uses our chat answer prompt action to be able to retrieve a result. Based off of those results, it iterates through each of those missing query parameters in this first one and says, hey, for each one of those missing query parameters, we need to locate the missing value. So it says, hey, we've identified, in our case, we need to retrieve the results from the product endpoint, but we're missing the category. So it enters this locate missing query parameters category subflow, and it says, hey, I need to find the value for the following query parameter. What tool can I use to find this missing value? From the below list. Return the name of the tool. Okay, so it does that, passes it in, again, using the AI to determine from the list of our tools including that categories API, which one I need to answer the question. Once it's gathered that result, we then go through and take the output of our response and filter our list of tools based off of the response that was returned by the AI. And then we dynamically build our request to our API, where we build up, say, the URL even dynamically based off of all of the surrounding information from our tools, which, if I open up, is information such as the URL, the name, what method is required, any query parameters, example data, and even what is the purpose of these endpoints. So it's leveraging these values to build up dynamically that HTTP request. Once it gathers the results from that request, it then says, hey, based off of those results, I need to find the following query parameter. From the data below, retrieve the correct value. So it says, hey, prompt tells me what information I need. I need to find a query parameter to answer that value, to answer that prompt. From the data I retrieved from my API request, from my list of categories, which one actually will help me identify the answer to my user's prompt? And then it uses another API request to do that filtering dynamic, because I don't know if it's just going to be one or multiple categories or even multiple fields I need to fill out, for instance. Once we get that result about which one of the categories we want to use, we then go through and build up our request to the product API. And again, this is another dynamic request that's going to include dynamically filling out the product URL, or the payload URL, I should say, and dynamically fill out the other values, such as our query parameters, from that list of query parameters values that we've been building up from those previous requests. We then take that request now from that data that we've retrieved from our APIs, our product API, for instance, and that now we can finally use this to answer our question that our user asked. So we have, what is the user's prompt? Plus, extract only the most relevant subset of information from the below content extracted from an API query. Okay. So now we can pass those into our chat answer prompt, which will go through and leverage the LLM behind the scenes in order to answer the user's question based off of the data that we retrieved from our API. We're then going to take that relevant data set. So in my case, those are those relevant footwear. So we don't want all of the footwear because rain boots aren't going to help us when we're hiking in the snow. So filter that out. We're going to take that and again ask one more prompt. We're going to say, hey, answer the above response from the below, leveraging the data pulled from live APIs. We could also use knowledge stores. I've just disabled that for the purpose of this demo. So now it uses that and generates our final response, which is what is returned to the user. We can do the same type of thing if we want to ask specific information, such as, where can I buy? And then let's say the Newberry Purina. Oops. Let me try that again. I'll just type it out. And it's going to answer this question, again, dynamically leveraging a similar set of logic. And it's going to do that based off of the fact that, like, hey, I have this name, but this isn't the full name, but I happen to have the full name in my chat history. So it's going to go through and leverage that chat history to identify which full name it is that we're interested in, and then submit that as part of our request through to our product inventory endpoint. And it retrieves back those results, including both the size and the stock for each one of our values. And you'll notice It even is filtering out those sizes that we do not have any currently in stock, such as 10 and a half. So with that, we've now seen how we can, behind the scenes, create this more intelligent action chaining approach to power our agentic experiences. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.